Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Reclining at table with his disciples, Jesus was deeply troubled and testified, "Amen, amen, I say to you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another at a loss as to whom he meant. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining at Jesus' side. So Simon Peter nodded to him to find out whom he meant. He leaned back against Jesus' chest and said to him, "Master, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I hand the morsel after I have dipped it." So he dipped the morsel and took it and handed it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. After Judas took the morsel, Satan entered him. So Jesus said to him, "What you are going to do, do quickly." Now none of those reclining at table realized what he said when he said this to him. Some thought that since Judas kept the money bag, Jesus had told him, "Buy what we need for the feast," or to give something to the poor. So Judas took the morsel and left at once. It was night. When he had left, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man to be glorified, and God is glorified with him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify himself, and he will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. You will look for me, and as I told the Jews, where I go you cannot come. So now I say it to you." Simon Peter said to him, "Master, where are you going?" Jesus answered him, "Where I am going you cannot follow me, though you will follow later." Peter said to him, "Master, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Amen, amen, I say to you, the cock will not crow before you deny me 3 times. The Gospel of the Lord. Yesterday, we talked about Judas, and today we see him again. Today, Judas is in denial. He's lying to himself. But not only is he in denial, he is denying what Jesus is saying to him. And so he's lying, a liar, tantalized by the father of lies. Reclining at table with his disciples, Jesus said, "One of you will betray me." It's very interesting that Jesus so subtly and carefully and charitably, he is calling out Judas, but he's not exposing him. He's doing it in such a merciful fashion. It's an act of mercy where he says, "One of you will betray me." It's almost as if he's hoping against hope that Judas will change his mind. And in his subtlety, Jesus wants to draw him out to be a man of integrity and to be a man of truth. Jesus doesn't shame him, which is interesting. Jesus gives Judas an opportunity to confess. Like the sacrament of reconciliation. The one to whom I hand the morsel Now Judas gets another chance, another morsel, another effort by Jesus to offer to Judas a time to confess, a time to admit of his failure, his fault, a time to come clean with his intentions. But yet he's still in denial. And so Jesus dips the morsel and hands it to Judas, hoping against hope that Judas would eat the morsel and allow that morsel to bring him to new life. Not to be so, because it is there Satan entered him. How did that happen? This is the third betrayal, you could say, in the series with Judas. A third offer of mercy set aside by Judas. Didn't want it. He's in mortal sin. And some would talk about this as the Eucharist. And we might wonder, how could he be eating the Eucharist and still be in mortal sin? It happens. In mortal sin, to receive the Eucharist in mortal sin, it nullifies all the graces that go with the sacrament. It cancels the grace you can receive. It's a dangerous thing to go into communion with mortal sin. Mortal sin and its grace and the grace of the sacrament is being refused by Judas. So it's a conscious effort on his part. None of them reclining at table realized that it was night. It's interesting that how all of this has such a subtlety. You can see how careful Jesus is trying to be to charitably coax him out. But Jesus cannot tamper with Judas's freedom because God respects our human freedom. And he allows us to even dabble in our human freedom. Because we are free creatures, we have the ability to love. There is no love without freedom. Love without freedom is a type of bondage. But also here, it's a freedom to say yes to Jesus. And it's a freedom to say no to the evil one. And this is where we must be. Judas was given 3 chances here in this selection of the Gospel of John. 3 chances to exercise his freedom to say yes to Christ. And when you think about who Jesus is and how he relates to sinners, do you think if Judas would have said, yeah, it's me, do you think Jesus would have chastised him or embraced him? He's always ready, if we are, to invite us into his arms for reconciliation, so that it won't be night for us in our lives and the darkening of our souls. There's a lot to be said here, especially in our ability to hold to what is true, to disdain lies, and to be courageous in coming to Christ, especially in the sacrament of reconciliation, because he is dying to heal us from the cross. See how he carefully took care of the good thief. The bad thief on the other side, he had an equal opportunity, refused it. And a little later in the gospel, you will see that Peter also betrayed him, but yet Peter experienced reconciliation. There are some who believe that as soon as Peter came to his senses, he ran to the Blessed Virgin, Jesus' mother, and they had a talk. When we're confused and we don't think Jesus is hearing us, then, like Peter, maybe we need to go to his mother and see how she can help. We should never lose sight of these graces. We must be careful not to betray Jesus.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit,